Welcome to my April 2021 spread. Spring is finally here, which means also rainstorms to bring in those beautiful May flowers for next month, so I decided to go with an umbrella theme to celebrate the rain that's needed to grow all the beautiful spring flowers upcoming for us this year. This was a fairly easy spread to accomplish since it didn't use very many markers. I used 2 yellow markers, but I could have easily just used the one, and then black and gray to fill in some of the details, which my black marker I could have just used a pen instead. For the font, I went a little extra this month. I usually don't go with such an ornate font, but I wanted to do a serif font and make it a little fancier with those big nice block letters. For my Fineliner, I went back with the Pigma Micron with the plastic nib. Last month I used a Staedtler felt tip Fineliner, and I really liked how thin it was, but I tend to write very hard and press really hard against the page, so I really like how the durable plastic nib holds up to all that pressure without starting to squish so much. With the felt tip pen, I was afraid that I was going to ruin the tip before I was even finished with my spread. I've been known to write so hard on paper, but that my notes in college you could flip the paper and actually feel all the letters sticking out the back side of the page. This month I went with a much smaller calendar spread. I usually go for a 2-page calendar to give me lots of space to plan out the month, but I found that, especially because of quarantine, that I don't really need all that space, and I'm usually just writing stuff on my weekly planning anyway, so I don't utilize the calendar for much other than making sure that I know which day is on what day of the week. And so I decided to go half the typical spread, doing just the 1 page, and then integrating my gratitude tracker in a more formal format on the next page. Because there was less space, I felt that it was easier to make the font a little bit more ornate and go with that same font that I used on the cover page. This is something I wouldn't normally do because after drawing out all the huge boxes and trying to fill out all the blank space, I would be ready to move on to the next page. So I did like how I was able to pay more attention to the details on this smaller calendar layout, and I think it's something that I'll do in the future. For my March gratitude tracker, I didn't have an actual formatted page for that, so I ended up really not doing the gratitude tracker on a regular basis as I normally do when I've created a whole dedicated spread to that gratitude tracker. I do really like the gratitude tracker because it gives you a little time in the day to be mindful and just grateful for something, to remember how much that you have to be thankful for. I kept it on theme by using the overhead view of an umbrella, separated out into 30 sections where I can write in a small pen and very small handwriting, something that I'm grateful for each day. And here's where the layout for this month gets really different. I'm going to cut along this line that I'm pointing out and make a Dutch door style layout where all the weekly layouts are on different pages. There's just something about all this bright yellow that's just so uplifting, and I can't wait to start using this spread for the month of April. I'm really inspired to use some of the extra pages that I built into the spread this month to just write down thoughts and ideas and general doodles over the next coming days. This next page is just a notes page. I find that with some of the smaller spreads, like you'll see for this next weekly spread, that I need a little bit more space to sometimes just jot down things like lists, ideas, little drawings to keep in mind when I'm planning a project. And this is the perfect place to lay it out. I did a little umbrella that's supposed to look like a cocktail umbrella, but I messed up the stem a little bit. Opposite that is my habit tracker. I decided to go with a whole monthly layout habit tracker instead of that weekly habit tracker. I found that my habits are actually turning into a rolling list of tasks that I do each week that I just want to keep track of the amount that I'm doing them and the frequency. So I might end up changing it over to a rolling task list instead of an actual habit tracker, but that's the reason that I have 800 habits. I swear I'm not some crazy person who has like 800 things that they're writing down each day. It's just a good way to keep track of things that you need to do and do regularly, but sometimes lose track of the frequency that you do it, like watering your plants. Here I flipped to the final page of the spread just so that I could go ahead and fill in those doodles and colors so that there's something to look at and have a frame of reference while I fill in the weekly spread. I really like how there's a border for this month and that this doodles are the same for each page, and it really just makes it all cohesive, and then I can add some doodles as I want to go with the theme on the pages. On my weekly spread, I didn't actually do any doodles, and I forgot about the washi tape that you can see to the left of the planner, but I did go in and add some yellow washi tape on just the edges of the weekly spread and on the bottom to add a little splash of color. And here's that final flip through.